people care about quality content, and if you want it to rank, you're going to have to go into the depth of what the users are looking for, and answer those questions in such a manner that it's digestible, it's search friendly, and it's user friendly.
Welcome to the B2B Digital Marketer Podcast, a podcast helping you to end your struggle with digital marketing, helping you to pave a new and better path to target and capture your ideal customer. Each week, we teach you how insiders and experts debunk the dreary and become engines of innovation. Now, here's your host, Jim Rembach.
Okay, B2B DM gang, we're going to get to some truths today, and we're going to get to the truths because we're going to talk about a couple lies that currently exist out there in regards to artificial intelligence or AI and content marketing. So AI and content marketing, we're going to talk about three things that really you need to bust through that are probably leading you down the wrong path, but yet are getting a lot of attention because, well, we'll tell you why. Because we have Pankil Shah on the show with us today. Pankil, welcome.
Thank you so much, Jim, for having me on your show. I'm excited.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay, but before we get into the meat, just tell the B2B DM gang a little bit about your background and yourself, and how we're going to make an impact for them today.
Absolutely. So I'm a self-taught entrepreneur, and then I went on to lead growth marketing for an enterprise company where we were creating tons and tons of content at scale. It was my job to get those content pieces out there and make sure that they meet the ROI guidelines, right? Like they're generating sufficient amount of value to the company. So that's what we were doing, and we're doing tons and tons of technical content. So my background is in technical content writing, and getting an engine set up that allows you to scale content and get it ranked in Google too. So I led those teams, and that got me into this next gig, which is outranking. And I currently lead outranking.io, which is a content research and search engine optimization platform. So that's just a little bit about my background, but majorly self-taught entrepreneur who loves how to get ranked on Google, or just create tons and tons of valuable content that your users love reading and would want to stick with you.
Well, as you started saying that, I mean, I started thinking about a lot of areas that contain a boatload of smoke. And here's what I mean by that. It's kind of hard to see what's going on, right? Search engine optimization. That's quite of a smoky area. I also saw some statistics associated with, ad revenue. And the ad revenues are dropping for some of the platforms, and you kind of lead yourself into thinking, well, why is that? You start talking about the influx and the mass increase, especially in B2B, associated with content and the content that's being created. You talk about pre-COVID, we had a scenario where Apple had roughly about 1.6 million podcasts in their directory. Now it's close to 3, because everybody decided to start a podcast, right? They got to get their content out there. They got to stand out. You also we're approaching the number quite quickly that we have just as many blogs as we do people on the planet. I mean, when I start thinking about content, I think people would have, a big need and want and desire to be in, that top, page ranking within Google, but it seems downright impossible, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say it's impossible. Possible is anything, but it's just there's efforts, and there are certain processes that are required in order to get you to deliver that quality content, have it stick in front of the users, and get it to rank on Google, right? So there are certain elements of content that goes behind it, and like you mentioned a very good point, right? There's so much content created nowadays, it's just insane. So what's that leading to? That's leading to shorter attention span. It's also leading to lots of garbage. It's also leading to users being smarter in choosing what they want to read and when they want to bounce. Right. So you can throw a couple of bucks and get your ads to rank first, second, third position on Google, but is that going to really serve the user intent? That's the question for you to ask, right? If your ad is delivering that, that's great. But most likely, most of the cases, it's not. The user needs self-exploration, right? So they're going to go inside, they're going to go through that page, find that right piece of content that they want to read, and they're going to read that. So what's going to happen eventually? Lots of people are publishing blog posts. Crappier ones are going to get weeded out, and those stay in those, 100th or millionth top pages, but never make it to that first top 2 pages, or even, top 2, I would say. Forget top 1, right? Like even top 2. If you're on top 2, there's a saying: if you're on the second page, you're as good as dead, right? Like nobody's looking at you. But yeah, so to get on that first page, you just need to deliver exceptional value first, and I think that's where it's going to be major shift.
Well, okay, when you talk about value, who am I providing value to? Am I providing value to the search engine? And so when I think about it, if I'm going to rank, I need to write for them first, and then for my audience next. Isn't that correct?
So think about this. The search engines were designed by humans too. What did they keep in mind, right? They kept in mind all the algorithms that make up the authority for a page, or you would say checklist that qualifies a page to serve a user intent in the best possible way, right? So when you go to Google, you are essentially writing for the users who are going to find you first. If you're doing that, then Google already, any search engine automatically thinks you as an authority. If you're doing all the right things for the user, that's all the search engines care about. There are other signals that go behind in getting those pages ranked and getting the most out of your content. But the major piece is content itself. If you have the right content, it's valuable for the readers, and you understand how to create that value from a little research, I think you should be fine. But just creating that quality requires research. And I think most people have started skipping that when they start creating content at scale.
Okay, so maybe that gets into, so it's not impossible, right? It is possible, but I think we have to be very aware of these 3 lies or areas of smoke in regards to AI and content marketing. So what are 3 lies in AI content marketing that we need to be fully aware of in order to be successful?
The first lie is that AI will tell you all the truth. Second lie is that AI will replace humans. And the third lie is AI. The second lie is that AI will replace humans, yes. And the third lie is that AI will conquer the search engine.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit more about those.
So the first one, AI tells you the truth. No, that's not right. It's matter of fact, it's very incorrect. So AI is trained on data up till 2019. So you call this new technology GPT-3, or you consider any other Ethereum or any other AI engines that are out there that digest information. Some have more data, some have less data. But the point is that this data and the training happened after the fact. So when you start writing about this information, that information is already old, right? It already happened. But if it is current enough, then AI is not going to know that. So just when GPT-3 came out, last year, you'd go and ask AI, what is COVID-19? It would tell you that it's a fungus, right? And that's a total lie, right? Like you cannot be writing content using AI that delivers this kind of value, because immediately you're going to lose your client, or you're going to lose that. Well, forget about the ranking, but you're never going to make it, make sense to anyone at all. So it's going to lie. It's up to us on how we use this tech, and whether to our advantage or whether to our disadvantage. But having it, spin a wand and say, write for me, write the entire content, it's not going to work. It's going to lie. It's going to give you information that is less truthful. Or it's just, you would say, less important, more important, or no importance. AI doesn't know that. You ask it information, it'll pick up the patterns and give you answers based on probability. That's a game that you don't want to play when you're educating your users.
So that was the first one. What about the second one?
Right. The second one, replacing humans, right? Sure, AI can do a lot of things. There are chatbots out there. There are tons and tons of tech, like it can automatically manage your calendar. There's Alexa, you can ask it to order a pizza for you, right? It can do many things, but if you see where is it really good at? It is good at short tasks, right? The more complex it gets, it starts deviating more and more and more and more. So what it's going to do is it's going to make human lives easier. Absolutely. But it's going to replace humans? I don't think so. Without the human touch in any of this tech, it is absolutely impossible to get from point A to point C all on autopilot. Right? Like we're talking about Tesla, sure. It's going to get you from destination A to B. But not quite, right? That human touch is, at least right now, is absolutely essential when you're educating your users. You're guiding them through a journey of that education and getting them to a call to action, to take an action on your website. It's going to require human touch no matter what. Sure, AI will brainstorm for you, will give you probabilities. It's up to you to pick which probability fits the best. In your case, modify it, make it better, and then publish it. But yes, so said that, right? The major issue that I have with content writing in general with AI is that there's a notion with this new technology that people think that we'll press a button, we'll have a blog post, and it will rank tomorrow in Google, right? Or it will be like, oh, a wow piece that my customer would just love reading and then come back and buy my product. Not going to happen. Human touch, absolutely essential, no matter what. So use AI as an assisted technology instead of replacing technology is where we should look at. And I think there's tons and tons of misconception around it because there's so many AI bots that write content for you nowadays that pop up. And some have like unlimited limits and, like I cannot believe this, right? Like, how do people fall for this? But if you're falling for it, take the best educated guest and make sure to read each and every sentence before you publish it, because it will lie and it will require you.
All right. So that's the second one. What about the third one?
Third one, it's going to conquer search engines. Wow. Conquer, it's a very big word. No, it's not going to conquer search engines because AI, sure, it can give you text and probability-based text, and it will cut down your time in a very significant way in terms of research and all these other aspects that allow you to create that masterpiece in Google. But generating content from thin air, no matter how clever you are, ingesting keywords in it, injecting proper titles in it, without providing that right value, search engines know when the data is crap and when the data is good. So to optimize for search engine is optimizing for users. AI is not going to do that. Humans are going to have to do that. So that's one of the last points. You are optimizing for humans. You're optimizing for information that's going to land on someone's eyes and it's going to create an impression on their brain. Only if AI was to do it, what's the point of search engine, right?
Well, as you're talking to, and I think you kind of hit on it a little bit, I'll say, is it possible that a fourth lie is that you'll rank fast?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the third point. It's a better way of putting it. You'll rank fast. You will not rank fast. And sure, if you have like 10,000 product descriptions to create and you want to create that automatically, yes, there's some value to it. But then, it will help you probably rank in, for a few outliers too. But don't think that you'll stay there. As soon as someone creates better content than you, you are outranked, right? And that's just how it works. Better content outranks crappier one. So I would say, yeah, to rank in top position, you're going to need that human touch. You're going to need the human smartness, I would say.
Well, even that. And so there's maybe even another perspective to take on that is that, especially when I start talking about competitive, keywords and competitive, search requests that are being undertaken, is that it takes a long time and consistency. I mean, the search engines are looking for, people talk about the EAT. And so how much does your AI take into consideration in what you're doing focus in on that EAT, and maybe you explain that a little bit.
Right. So it's significantly different. So what we do in outranking is data analysis to help the users or to assist the users in writing better information for the web that caters that user intent, right? So the way we do that is we take the users through a guided journey of how you should create a title, how you should create a meta description. But that's not even the best part. Once you're done with that and you have your outline, we'll help you with outlines too. But once you have that outline nailed out for the users and you want to start writing content for it, we are not suggesting you click button and write for us. What we do is you click a button and it will go research for you. It will go identify information, facts from existing data out there that you should be using as part of your writing or as part of your research in your writing, right? And that's where we add value. So we want to cut your time significantly in research first before we even get to writing, because that's, I think, where you spend most amount of your energy is researching information. And there was a statistics out there recently which said that content marketers are spending an hour approximately 30% more time than they were before. So that just tells us something like really quickly, right? Like people care about quality content. And if you want it to rank, you're going to have to go into the depth of what the users are looking for and answer those questions in such a manner that it's digestible, it's search friendly, and it's user friendly.
So so what you're saying, it goes back to the EAT, right? It's expertise, yes, authority, and trust. And people talk about EAT, and therefore AI is not going to deliver EAT.
It's not, right? Well, humans are going to deliver EAT with help of AI, but yes, it's a human delivery.
Well, even then, so okay, so even when I start talking about the human augmentation, and here could be yet another lie, is that I can take an inexperienced person with low skill level, give them AI, and they're going to perform like an expert. That's not going to happen either, is it?
No, that's going to happen. That's truth, actually, I would say. And that's where that's where our platform comes into play, right? So let's say you are working for a B2B company, B2B product company, and you're a marketing manager with, having to put on too many hats. You have to put on a hat of a digital marketer, you have to put on a hat of a content facilitator or search engine marketer or digital ads marketer, right? You're going to need all of these expertise and you're not going to have it. That's one. That's one use case. Second use case, let's say you are a search engine marketer or you are a content writer. You still have the problem of writing at scale about nuanced technologies, right? So what happens is like you can find many content writers which are great at what they do. But the moment you bring them into, let's say, an environment where you're writing content about MongoDB or PostgreSQL or Python, right? It's going to fail, right? So you need an assisted technology that can help you bridge this gap of knowledge. And that's where outranking comes into play, is that we'll help you build that knowledge base that then you can use to write content. We'll do the research of what you need to be including in your content so that you can write it better and you can include that in your content. So I say yes, absolutely. And AI is going to, so when I said, AI is not gives you content based on probability, but think about where the probabilities best fit to in generating ideas, right? So let's say you want to rewrite a particular paragraph into a different tone, or you want to write it in a persuasive manner for a user. I couldn't do that if, like 10 years ago, right? If I was just a new person coming out and writing content. But hey, if I was on an outranking platform, I can select the paragraph and change the tone or make it more persuasive, right? So yes, absolutely. You will be able to bridge gap of being that expert by using AI. And I said, that's why you need to be using AI as an assisted technology in helping you achieve that great copywriting.
Okay, so now I think I'm getting a little bit greater clarity on this. So if I start thinking about it from a productivity perspective, and I start thinking about, let's just break it down, turn the clock back, think about the traditional writing activities. I have writers and then I have editors. So if I can have a lower level person to be a writer who doesn't have a lot of, subject matter expertise, be augmented with AI, and therefore my editors don't have to spend as much time, and yet can actually create more high quality content.
Absolutely. So think about this, right? Like there are many entrepreneurs using our product, and this is one of the workflows that have been shared the most time between them, is that they have hired a virtual assistant to help them create that first draft using AI, because it can bring all the information together, but it cannot really do that human editing, right? So that's when you have editors, right? So I think it's going to break it down into two aspects: one who just creates this content and scale, and the other one who's really going to go and modify that content, make it super good for the user. So, but yes, absolutely, you're right on.
Okay, so even to me, I started thinking about here's it's a very interesting discussion that applies in a lot of different ways. Even when I'm working with my high school kids, I'm a pitching coach. I'm actually a certified baseball pitching coach, and working with my kids and trying to convey things to my coach, my head coach. And he'll ask me some questions, and I said, well, I think it's important for us to know, when you start talking about these kids and starting getting into the sophisticated and advanced areas of learning the skill and mastery of pitching and baseball, is that there's not a lot of water in their well to draw from. They don't have a whole lot of knowledge and experience and understanding. Right. So what I have to do, and I'm more effective when I can identify who has what in their well. And so if I think about that from a writer perspective, now let's apply it to this. I don't have to worry so much about what level of experience and understanding is in their well, because otherwise, if I was to go in the traditional route and not be augmented, I may have to work, nurture, and teach somebody to get to a level of subject matter expertise that doesn't require a significant amount of my editing time and teaching time.
Absolutely. That's a game changer, right? I think that is where the game is really changing, not where you spit out entire blog post. It should be assistive, right? Like the amount of value that you can bring it to any enterprise company too, right? Like you bring in a new writer who knows nothing about your technology. All of a sudden, they're writing blog posts or internal content around things that they had no idea about, because those research is presented to them in a better way. They're more understandable, written for an 8th grader. So no matter who you are talking to can understand that. And AI can do that, right? And I think that's where you should be using AI, is to get those facts quickly, get those understandings quickly, get those research quickly onto your paper, and so that you can quickly modify and get it to the finish line.
Okay, so then I have to start thinking about I'm sitting here and I'm a digital marketer, and I'm maybe working on some branding. I may be even working on some lead generation type things, and they're very different. But if I'm looking at how do I get started, I've been, looking, seeing, I know there's a lot of smoke, I need to gain clarity. How do I get started and thinking about the journey and the path of using AI for my content marketing?
So I would say, first of all, it's important to understand what you're really trying to achieve, right? So all the use cases are going to be a little slightly different. But let's say you're trying to create content, you're a digital marketer, you're trying to create content for Facebook, right? You can identify a product that works for you. Outranking will work for you, but there are many products that will work for you in terms of digital marketing. You can brainstorm your ideas, you can come up with those poster ideas, right, based on the information that you give it. So you have to do very little copy editing. It's ready to be digested by the users. Just make some quick edits and publish it. So you would need a lot less of expertise in creating this digital marketing campaigns, because you're just giving it a bunch of points which are unstructured. It's going to take that and create a post for you. So if you're a small, medium, or small business, or a freelancer or a digital marketer, and you want to write digital marketing copies at scale, right, I would get a tool which can take your information and give you something really amazing, and then you can adjust it quickly and publish it. That's one way. And anybody can do this. So that's why I said small businesses too, who need all of these capabilities, right? Digital marketing, content writing, website creation. Like some of them just do all of these by themselves. And versus digital marketer who's more structured and just doing digital marketing. For long form content, I would say don't go anywhere else. Go to outranking, because we help you write around facts. We help you around research, and no other GPT technology is going to generate content that is around facts unless and until you go through an engine that we have created or something similar to that. So I'd say long form, if you're creating content for web, you're creating webinar pages, you're creating SEO blog post, right? You're creating recipe blog post, you're creating product pages, you're creating affiliate content. Outranking is going to really help you scale that content creation process, help you rank, and also chalk truth, even if you have little to no expertise. Versus if you are doing something else, right? Like if you care more about branding and stuff like that, there are also tools out there that can help you create this personalized workflows for your business. So for example, you could be a company, you could be an e-commerce company doing digital ads or certain types of promotions or certain types of page creations at scale, right? Like you're IMDb and you're creating profiles of actors and actresses or movies at scale, right? You can automate quite a few of those things, and outranking can definitely help over there as well. But yeah, you can automate that, have those branding elements in it. Not saying that the content that comes out is going to be perfect, but it's going to be 85, 90% there. That's a win. The remaining is human touch.
Well, you talked about Facebook, and you use that as a potential, use case scenario where a lot of the B2B folks are, really focused in on Google, and then also they're using and leveraging LinkedIn. So how does that come into play as a use case? Absolutely,
right? So it would be any sort of platform where you need to indulge the users in a persuasive manner, get them excited with a hook, and get them deeper into what this might be, have them click on that product, and then lead. So any of these use cases, absolutely, right? Like outranking can definitely help you, but there are certain other products too, and that do specifically those jobs, like even emails, right? We don't do email, but they're like for emails, right? You want to write a sales copy email, you can go and find one of these tools where you can put in a couple of lines of what you want in the sales copy or the key elements of sales copy. It'll generate that sales copy that you can send it out on LinkedIn, right? To someone who you're doing the outreach with. So all of these use cases are possible. There are tools which are going to be good at certain things versus the others. It's for you to choose like which fits your right use case. But this technology is there. Just dig deeper, and you should be able to find the right one that will work for you.
All right, so I think we kind of hit on this a little bit, and maybe needs a little bit more clarity. When you start talking about the whole EAT, in order to be able to obtain that from a search engine perspective, they're an expert, they have authority, they can be trusted, and therefore I'm going to rank them higher. It's really, we have to look at the long game of this.
Right.
So really what I'm looking at, would it be fair to say I'm looking at some type of annual strategic and tactical plan? I've got to really look at it over a long period of time. Isn't that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Right. And you can go as broad as you want, as granular as you want, but whether you're talking about one individual piece of content, or you're talking about your entire strategy, I think EAT is long game, no matter what. In order for you to establish authority, you have to first establish expertise. And how do we call you? Like, how does someone call someone an expert, right? You look at the followers, right? You look at how many times the people, right? Like things like that. So you need some sort of an indicator to qualify you as an authority. And that indicator only comes after you have expertise, whether it's in content, whether it's in strategy. If it's in content, it's how the user reads through your information and bounces off is where you can measure it. If it's your content strategy, you can measure how many people are returning, again and again to digest your new information that you're publishing on your website, right? So there's many things involved, but EAT, absolutely anywhere, it's a long game. I believe start like the first step, establishing expertise, if done right, will automatically lead into authority establishment. So yeah, sure, you're going to have to do certain things outside your bounds, but it can definitely help, right? So why not take that first step in such a way that it can help all the remaining?
Well, okay. So the other thing is like, well, what about where we are versus where things are going? I mean, if you're saying that, part of the three lies is it's not going to replace humans and things like that. I mean, have we kind of maxed out in the technology's capability in regards to augmenting humans? I mean, how much further can this really go?
It can go a little further. So, in my understanding of AI, what I think is AI is not going to just take all the information that comes in and as and when it comes in. What AI is going to be more capable is understanding nuances. It's going to be understanding your instructions. It's going to be understanding, establishing, and giving you better probability results, right? That's where AI is going to be more powerful. So in terms of that, you are going to be able to create more powerful programs to interact with AI that can help you do a lot more things rather than rely more on AI to do everything.
Okay, so I think for me, and what I'm hearing from you is that that's really the key differentiator in here in regards to the other tools, in regards to, what algorithms, programming, what is actually going out and actually obtaining the information to pull it back. Isn't that really the key differentiator with a lot of these tools?
Absolutely, right? And that makes all the difference because your sources and everything is verified, right? So you talk about EAT, how are you going to establish authority without expertise if you talk about crap, if you talk about lies, right? That AI can give you, right? And that's going to always be the case because AI is trained after the facts, right? Plus, AI is not trained on Amazon products. It's not trained on Shopify products. It's not trained on for example, I would say GraphQL technology, if it just came out last year, it did not. But if it came out last year, it's not going to be able to talk about that, right? So where do you go then, right? You go to outranking, which can help you extract this facts first using AI. But there's an engine, right, that does the heavy lifting besides just GPT-3 tool alone. So yes, GPT-3 is open for anyone. So I would say if you need GPT-3, which generates thin content, don't go to any tool, just go and register for GPT-3 account, right? And just use it yourself. But it's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve problems for web content.
Got it. Well, man, I'll tell you that. Thank you for a lot of the clarity and understanding it for myself, because I think we mentioned before we started recording, I had been exposed to artificial intelligence back, it's closely approaching 10 years ago. With an organization that was using AI in order to be able to abstract enterprise information, enterprise knowledge. You think about some of these very large enterprises, they have volumes and volumes and volumes of information that has to be accessed quickly, both internally and then it became externally for customers and prospects and things like that. So, I mean, I've been around it for a very long time and there's been a whole lot of mis and disinformation, and you've helped to create a whole lot of clarity around this. So, I mean, I'll tell you, I'm really excited about where the potential is going in regards to these engines that you're talking about in order to be able to help with the augmentation to be a lot easier. And I think that's where we're going to see the breakout. And also us as consumers of AI are going to be more, over time, are going to gain better knowledge to ask better questions in order to clarify.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So
it's bound to
Shaw,
happen.
Yeah, it will happen. It's not an if, it's a when. Pankil Shah, thanks for joining us today. How do the B2B DM gang, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have a huge group on Facebook where we answer tons and tons of questions around AI and content marketing. Join that. But if you absolutely need to get in touch with me, it's linkedin.com/in/Pankil Shah 9, I believe.
Got it. And I think you also had an offer for our listeners. Was that correct?
Absolutely right. Yeah. We're currently running a grandfather deal, which means that will allow you to roll over your credits, unused credits. And it's a significantly discounted price. We're just breaking into the market, right? So we launched in early April and with viral growth after that. But we are launching V7. It's a 7th version of our product, and every version has been so significantly improved in terms of AI and data capabilities. We're launching a new version right around the 10th of January. And we're running this deal up till then. What we're bringing in V7 is capabilities to help you write press releases from content briefs, right? So from existing information or product releases, right? Like you can write information for web using existing information, which is unstructured at scale. So you could be a better writer, you could be a better copywriter, even without any knowledge of copywriting. That's our goal, is to help you write better content, even if you have no to zero expertise, zero to little expertise.
Pankil Shah, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you so much, Jim, for having me on your podcast. This was a really fun conversation.
Thank you for joining us. Go now to join the B2B DM gang in the B2B Marketer LinkedIn group, where you can connect with other B2B DM disruptors and get access to our B2B DM cheat sheets, checklist, and guides. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, please help by going to iTunes to rate, review, and subscribe. And share the show on all of your digital platforms. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. And always remember, you can automate your lead capture, but you must lure your lead.